There are a few rules that you must follow when working with buyers to prevent frustration and heartache. One is make sure that buyers are pre-qualified before you take them out. Now, I know this sounds obvious, but agents do it all the time. They take buyers out and the buyer does not have a pre-qualification letter, which is crazy. I think what happens is agents get excited that they have a buyer that's motivated, and the buyer might exude some sort of confidence about their ability to obtain a loan. And the buyer and the agent ignore that and they just go out and look at properties. In my opinion, that's crazy because a buyer doesn't really know what they qualify for. It's not just about how competent they are about repaying the loan and their mortgage payments. It's also about furnishing all the documentation and the work history to a lender. And that gets complicated, and lenders reject loans sometimes by buyers that could pay the loan back but can't show it on paper. So just do it the right way. Have the buyer get pre-qualified before you show them properties. A buyer doesn't really know until they've been pre-qualified by a mortgage professional. It's crazy. The idea of going shopping and having no idea what you can afford is crazy. No one would do that at a grocery store, and we're talking about a home, the biggest purchase in most people's lives. So always make sure that your buyer's pre-qualified. No exceptions. No exceptions with buyers that need to get a mortgage. Now, for cash buyers, they should have a proof of funds. And the proof of funds should be in a name or should be listed, and there should be some link made between the proof of funds, the name that it's in, and the buyer. Not some random cousin that has the proof of funds, but that the buyer is in control of the money in the proof of funds that they're furnishing you as the agent. And that would be a requirement for cash buyers. Also, when you take a buyer out and show them properties, ideally, they would sign a buyer representation agreement, right? Because you're spending all this time getting dressed up, you're driving them around, or you're driving to meet them here and there, you're spending your time researching the properties and making the appointments, you're investing resources. And ideally, a buyer would see value in that and sign a representation agreement. The big problem with the buyer representation agreement is it's an intimidating document. So you just meet this buyer, it's all formal, it's in the beginning, it's cordial, and then you bring this big legal document, this buyer prenup of legal text. It's a very intimidating document. Now, some buyers might not be fazed by the representation agreement. Great, have them sign it. For the buyers that do find that intimidating, or for buyers where you feel like you're in a more formal setting and that you might scare them off by immediately bringing up this lengthy legal text document that looks intimidating and having them sign it, we have something else, a proprietary form of Balboa real estate that I like to use. It's a property showing agreement. Now, instead of being lengthy like the buyer representation agreement, it's a short one-page form. It's shorter than one page. And basically it says, look, you don't have to use me as your agent in general, but on the properties in which I spend my time showing you, the properties in which I'm setting the appointment, coming out and opening them up and giving you all the information, on those particular properties, I represent you as your agent. Now, if you don't like me as your agent and you want to stop working and go somewhere else, you're not stuck with me. You can do that. But on the properties that I'm working on with you, the ones that I go and show up, those I am going to be your agent. And that's what the property showing agreement's for. We'll put a link to that agreement in the description below. But I would always have a buyer sign that before I go show properties. I always do. The reason is that it's such an unintimidating and lighthearted document that if a buyer refuses to sign that, that's a red flag for you as a professional. Why on earth would a buyer not agree to use you as their agent on a property that you're opening up and showing them? Now, there are hundreds of thousands of licensees in the state of California, and sometimes buyers have relatives or they have someone, a friend that they know that will write the offer, and the friend might have a license and say, look, have other agents go do all the legwork, drive you around or meet you places, set the appointments and show you properties, and then I'll write the offer when you find the property you like. That happens. And to prevent that, use a simple form, the property showing agreement. If a buyer refuses to sign that form, I will not open the property. And I personally have had to leave buyers at a front door when they've refused to sign that document. So again, These are small steps that you can take, boundaries that you must set as a professional. And if you do that, it will prevent the frustration and the heartache that you get from losing deals, spending time working with buyers that aren't qualified, or you later find out can't qualify for a loan, or that later have their uncle write an offer on a property that you showed them after you spent months going around and investing your resources with them. Again, we'll have links in the description below, but follow these guidelines and you'll have a successful relationship with your buyers.